Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy. I go by Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. It's been a while, sorry about that. And today isn't even going to be a floss tube per se. I've been meaning to get on here for a while and talk about Oak Crown Studios and just go over a lot of FAQs. Some of them are actual literal questions I get. Some of them are things that I might just think are interesting or I would like to explain or talk about with my fabric. I've been a bit under the weather lately. I've been a little more absent from social media, trying to get some health stuff. I'm fine. Nobody worry too much. Basically, I just haven't been sleeping. Although I think we're on the road to recovery and getting back to being able to sleep at the moment. I'm sorry if you can hear those sirens and horns. There is a fire station very near my house, and it's a beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. A little bit cloudy and rainy, but like warm, and anyway. So the windows and everything are open. So if you can hear that, I apologize. So I'm not trying to like alarm anybody, like I'm okay. I just have not been sleeping, especially the last few weeks. And I've really been wanting to get on here and make this video. And I had this great list, like a literal list in a notebook of the questions and things that I've been collecting and that I wanted to address, and I can't find it. So I finally today was like, I'm gonna film that video, and I can't find it. So I'm gonna wing it. I probably would have forgotten some things even if I had the list in front of me. So, and I do want to put on my list of many things to do, I do have adding FAQs to my website. So I will do that at some point. But choosing between sitting at my computer and typing in and like editing my website, which is not, does not feel like the most natural and easy task for me. As opposed to just like sitting here and filming a video and talking to you guys. I choose talking to you guys. Just so I can have a video with at least some stitchy eye candy in it. Although you can't see one of my dragons back. You know what? I'll show you the two whips I've been focusing on because I have them right here. I'm in my stitchy spot. I want to say too, this is going to be looking more like a Stitch With Me video, okay? Like, you don't need to look at almost anything I'm going to show. Like, I'm not even going to be showing stuff. I'm mostly just talking to you. Grab a drink, grab some hot chocolate, just close to my heart, or water, or whatever, coffee, whatever your drink is. Snuggle in with some stitching. I have no idea how long I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk until I feel like not talking anymore, because I miss you guys. But I haven't been doing a lot of stitching, so I also don't have a lot to show you. Today is Chatelaine Wednesday. I should say today is Wednesday, April something. I don't know, April 17th, 2024. I have Stitch North next weekend, like not in a couple days, but like the following weekend. I'm so excited for all of my friends whose floss tubes I don't even have time to watch anymore. I'm gonna get to actually see you guys in person. Well, I don't get to see all my friends, but I get to see a lot of my friends in person. I'm really excited for that, and I'm gonna get to meet some people in person for the first time that I haven't, like I'm aware of and I might have interacted with or even Zoomed with, but I haven't actually met them in person. I'm really excited about that. So Stitch North, I'm very, very happy that's coming up. Although I still have to finish my small, but I've made some progress. And I decided how to finish it, actually last night, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I don't get, oh, I might sneeze. If I sneeze, I apologize. I don't get a lot of stitching time these days. I have kids. But also, you know, Oak Crown, since I started it, is taking up a lot of my time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm having a blast. I am loving doing Oak Crown, doing Oak Crown Studios, dyeing y'all's fabric. I've been posting some things on Instagram because I have some new things coming soon, hopefully, from Oak Crown Studios that I'm really excited about. So I'm having a blast and it's totally fun, but also it means there's less time to just like sit and stitch. And there's other things that I love doing too. In spring and fall, I always get into this like super fibery mood. Not only does my like knitting joy ramp up in fall and spring, it's something about like the changes of the seasons, but I love processing raw sheep fleece. Some of you might be totally grossed out. I apologize. But I love going to fiber festivals, and or even online direct from farms, getting like a raw sheep's fleece, like right off the sheep, and washing it, carding it, or combing it myself, or just spinning straight from the locks. I've spun yarn. If you guys have been around here for a while, you know this. It's not something I focus on my channel, although I do, because I've had people ask for it. I would like in coming months to do some episodes that are more like fiber arts based. I've been weaving more lately. I have several looms actually. They all have projects on them that they've been sitting for a while because I wasn't weaving over the winter. And anyway, I'm excited about getting those done. My husband and I are rearranging our garage, which we don't even use for our cars. I like using my bay in the winter. We're actually trying to like reorganize it for storage. Oak Crown needs way more space than I have in this house. So we're adjusting things so I have more storage for Oak Crown Studios. And we're also setting up like a weaving studio in the garage, as well as like a woodworking studio for my husband in his bay. It's gonna be a very small studio, but a place for us to enjoy our hobbies together, because I do not have room for my floor loom in the house. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, it's not important. But I know some of you also enjoy these hobbies. Anyway, I'm hoping to I can't promise a timeline, but here soon I am hoping to do some videos that do kind of focus on, I've had some questions of people being like, can you show me your loom and like how it works, or can you show me what spinning actually is and how you do that? So I'd like to set up my camera and show some of those things. So anyway, hopefully that's coming in coming months for my channel as well. Stitching, I said I'd show a little bit of eye candy. So when I do stitch, I've been much more monogamous than I usually am because I just don't have that much stitching time. I've been working on my small for the retreat, which I don't have handy, so I can't show you. I have been working on my chatelaine pineapple like a mad woman. What can I put behind this? Working on my chatelaine pineapple like crazy, and look at how stinking beautiful that is. It's also full of mistakes. Don't care. When I realize I've put done the wrong specialty stitch in maybe the wrong color, or it doesn't matter. That's fine. No one's gonna notice, and if they do notice, too bad. It's fine. I am so close to the finish line on this. I want to get it done, and I want to take it to the framer ASAP. There's one spot I missed. Where is it? There's one little line of stitches, a diagonal stitches right there that I need to finish. Otherwise the border is done, other than the beading. I haven't done any beading yet. My pineapple's almost done. This is what I was sitting on working on this morning. My pineapple's almost done, except for the beading. I really want to get this done. A, because it'd be my first chatelaine finish. B, because it's beautiful. And C, because my framer is in a town that has a Bruegger's Bagels. I love Bruegger's Bagels. I was raised on Bruegger's Bagels. I don't have one particularly close to where I am in Pittsburgh. But my framer, who's like 45 minutes away, is down the street from a Bruegger's. And I just really want a bagel. I'm just hoping that none of y'all mind my weirdness right now. Anyway, it's my chatelaine pineapple. I feel like it's on the cusp of completion. It felt like such a long, hard slog for so long. But then, like, once I started doing the specialty stitches and really started, like, focusing on it, I've stitched on this more than just Wednesdays. It's really coming together quickly. I feel like my eyes are way puffier than normal. I feel like my eyes aren't even open. It's okay. I'm on the road to recovery. The other thing I've been focusing on is Nora Corbett's Rogue Dragon from her Patreon. It's almost dead. I love it so much. I've got some in there, a little fill in there, some of the tail part here, and the top half is all beaded. So, I like the claw, I gotta go do that. Oh, and some of the, I gotta finish the colors and the spikes. It's Clay by Kim Needleminder. So anyway, yeah, look at how good she is. I love her. So she's been getting a lot of attention. Basically, between those two projects and my small, that's like all I've worked on. I'm gonna take Emerald Mermaid to Stitch North, and if a miracle happens, I'll finish her. Emerald Mermaid has been like my retreat whip for the last year, which is really as long as I've been going to retreats. It's only been like a year. But she's not huge, and actually I think the dragon's more stitch heavy than Emerald Mermaid. Look at this sucker. Whoop. I just knocked floss all over my dog. Freya is here. She's sitting next to me in her spot. Look at how, this is a Mirabilia. This isn't like Lady of the Mist Mirabilia. I'm looking at my wall of Mirabilias over there. I think she's bigger than like Woodland Fairy. She's more like Woodland Fairy, Adia, Midsummer Night's Fairy kind of like stitch count, I would guess. Not as much stitching as like May's Emerald Fairy. But she's significant. She's pretty big. I'm gonna be very happy. I think I might actually, if I'm lucky, end up with several Mira finishes this year, which would make me very happy. Okay, so I'm going to try to focus more on Oak Crown and kind of what's going on. The biggest news for Oak Crown Studio for me is that I have hired employees, and they're my children. And that was a very difficult process for a couple of weeks getting them trained, but I'm actually really excited about it because now I think I'm at the point where it's going to make things a lot easier. So Oak Crown Studios is a ton of fun, but there are definitely jobs that are more fun than others. And the dyeing is the most fun. There's certain things like the computer, like the website stuff, that I don't see how I can outsource. Not at this point, like, right? Like, that's something like big companies do. Like, I have to be doing that. And I can't, I'm not hiring like real employees, right? I'm not going to have my kids do my website. They'd end up like doing like Minecraft listings or something. But so I need to do that stuff. But there's also a lot of repetitive, boring tasks. Cutting fabric. And I'm going to explain how I do all of this stuff. I find it interesting. I know some of you find it interesting, some of you, or you're curious, because I get asked how I do these things and how it works. And I hear people comment on this sort of stuff all the time in their floss tubes about like, oh, the company must do it this way or that way. And we make kind of assumptions about how companies do things. And I want to be like super transparent. So I'm going to tell you how I do things. My brain is very fuzzy from repeated lack of sleep over the last few months, so I apologize. I'm going to have even like more trouble with like words and staying on track than I usually do. But like I said, hopefully you've just got your stitching and you're like hanging out. Anyway, so cutting fabric, ironing fabric, which is probably my least favorite. That or serging fabric. So cutting, ironing, and serging. Those are the three things that like are boring, repetitive tasks that I actually don't mind at all. Serging, I don't love. Some of you know I deal with a migraine issue, which is a lot better since I started acupuncture maybe 9 months ago. But it's not gone, and mine are very like noise activated, and my serger is not quiet. But especially like cutting and ironing, especially if I'm tired and kind of don't feel up to crafting, but like I want to be productive, it's very easy to like put a movie on and sit down and cut fabric. So I don't really mind these tasks, but also they're a huge time suck. And I have a million ideas in my head for things I want to do with Oat Crown. I love offering my fabric. I will always continue to do that. I would love to get models done, honestly, especially for, I'd like to be stitching more models on my fabric. I should tell you, this is on my fabric. This is on Swirling Tide. There's, I am working on a project for offering floss. I'm offering quilting fabric. I want to do finish up some models with my quilting fabric so that you guys can see kind of, for those of you who are quilters, how I envision using those. Actually, maybe I'll use some of my fabric to finish my small for Stitch North. That's a good idea. I want to be doing, down the road, I'd love to be doing yarn and roving for spinning. So there's like all these things I'd love to do. And I have like a million ideas for beautiful fabrics that I just don't have the time to like to do all of that. So here in recent weeks, I've been hiring employees and training them. I am working out of my very crowded, rather messy home. I'm not, part of the reason I can do Oat Crown is because I am doing it out of my home, so I am not in a position at this point to start renting premises and like all that. I'm just not that big and stage of life. I'm not there to like have an outside location to be doing this. But my kids, actually, when I started Oat Crown, one of the ways we kind of sold this idea to them was they could work for me during the summer. They're all really excited about that. They want to make money beyond just what their allowance is. We don't, this is just the way we've chosen to do it. We don't pay our kids for chores around the house. They get like an allowance, otherwise they're just expected to do what we ask them to do at any given time. And that's more of a like, you don't get paid to just participate in the life of the family kind of philosophy, I guess, that my husband and I have, right? Like you help because you're part of the family and we help. But I will pay them to work for Oat Crown, and they all have things they're saving for. My sons are each saving for their own laptops, and my daughter collects these Hazel Village dolls. She's saving so she can grow her community of Hazel Village dolls. I'll try to link them below just because they're the most adorable dolls. They're wonderful. They're like dolls and little woodland creatures. Some of you probably know who they are. Anyway, so I'm paying my children to work for me. And we were going to wait till summer because I knew training young children to do a job was not going to be easy. But my kids were kind of bugging me the last couple months. They want money. They want to like do this stuff. So I just, and I was starting to feel like, God, I just wish I had somebody, right, to like do some of these things for me, because I never have time to do the things I want to be doing for Oat Crown. I just always like feel behind. So I was like, okay, let's just do it. We're gonna do it. And there were some growing pains, definitely, of, because there's like, and those of you who have kids or who have ever worked with kids or have nieces or nephews or whatever, I'm sure you will know what I mean, right? Enthusiasm does not necessarily match capability. So finding the right jobs that played to each of my children's strengths took some time. Getting them to understand that this isn't a job and it's not playtime. And I am quality control and they can't mess it up, right? Was tricky, right? We're very like, in general in our household, we're like, mistakes happen, no big deal, just move on, you know, kind of family. But trying to get them to understand for this is different because this is a job. And fabrics need to be cut accurately. And so if you can't cut them accurately, you're not going to cut fabric. We did have to reassign some children. Did I did lose a little bit of fabric. It's fine. I'll keep it for me. But I think we're in a place where my kids are all happy, and they all have jobs that they love and that they're good at, and they're all very enthusiastic about it. So Liam, my oldest, is an ironer. He is amazing. He is a slow and steady and meticulous person. He loves it. He puts his earbuds in, he listens to music, and he will spend hours ironing fabric. I love it. It just takes so much off my plate, and to see that he's doing such a good job with it is wonderful. And I'm grateful because he's the one who can't cut. My 13-year-old can't cut. He's like the best cutter of the three with like paper. But like for whatever reason with fabric, he's just like not capable. Okay, so Logan, my middle child, he can do a lot of different things, and he actually is helping me in the dye studio some. And actually, it's not, I don't think it's a spoiler to tell you that he is actually, I have named May's Fabric of the Month after him. It's going to include some of his favorite colors, and he's going to help me dye it. So there's certain tasks in the dye studio that he's really good at helping with. For the most part, the dye studio is not actually where my kids are going to shine, because I really want the fabrics to be consistent, and I feel like they need to be done by me. Most of them. There's like different processes that I use to dye, and I'm not really going to get into those in detail because that's more like trade secrets, right? Like I don't want to tell you exactly how I do everything because then you don't need me. But there's some sorts of fabrics they can, well, Logan especially can dye, but for the most part, it's always going to be me dyeing for the sake of consistency and me being able to be certain everything's being done right. So Logan is great on the serger. So he's my serger. Same thing, puts his earbuds in, serges. And I think my kids are in part happy because they have times where they're not allowed to be on electronics. We're not a like video games all day, every day kind of family. I don't mind video games. I'm not like anti-screen time, but I am like try to be a well-rounded person, so you can't be on an all day kind of thing. And I think they're really happy that during those time periods where they're not allowed to be on electronics, they now have something to do that will make them money so they can buy more electronics. So anyway, Logan's my serger. He also, so the quilting fabric, when I dye the quilting fabric, I dye it in 1 yard chunks. And so the quilting fabric, not the cross stitch fabric, but the quilting fabric gets torn. If any of you have ever seen, been to, well, some quilt shops still do this. The first time it happened to me, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? But it's actually a great way to get a large cut of quilt fabric. You just snip on the edge and then tear it, and you get like a nice straight of grain. And I found that's the best way to cut the quilt fabric for dyeing, because it does get me like a nice straight cut. So I don't have much raveling on the edges when I wash it and when I dye it. So we found a great assembly line process where Logan tears it and Madison folds it because she's a really good folder. And they're working as a team, and it's amazing. My 9-year-old and my 11-year-old working as a team without arguing. And then Madison is my fabric cutter. My 9-year-old is meticulous, and she's a perfectionist. So she has been cutting fabric for me, and she can't cut all, I shouldn't say that. I don't have her cutting all of the types of fabric yet. I have her cutting the fabrics that I am supremely confident she can do accurately. She probably could do anything. My 9-year-old is amazing. She's amazing at the things she's capable of. She blows me away. But this is a business and I need to make sure people are getting exactly what they paid for. And so I am not ready to give Madison certain tasks. So let me explain. Oh, I should say also, I also have a friend who's starting to work for me, just like on a like, hey, when I need help basis to do some of those tasks. She can come over for a couple hours and just do a ton of serging, you know, or ironing, or what she said she loves to iron. So anyway, I have that, and my husband helps me with various tasks. So that, especially in the last like 4 or 5 days, I'm really seeing the massive amount of work my family has gotten through for me. And I'm really happy about it. I'm excited about it. And I'm looking forward to ongoing, like having more time for like the creative aspect. Being able to post more on Instagram, and I made a Facebook page with there's nothing on it because I don't do Facebook, so I'm not familiar with the platform particularly, and I just don't have time. Like, I am just so busy all the time. Anyway, all of that should hopefully get a bit better. So let me explain cutting fabric. Let's start there. So I am still a very small company, and there are certain counts, and well, there's certain counts and types of fabric that I get a lot more orders for than others. So sometimes I order a bolt of fabric. Sometimes I order less than a bolt. Now, it's like I get more of a price break if I order, you know, a full bolt, but fabric's expensive. There's about 16 yards on a bolt. And so, like, let's 40 count linen, for example, right? If I'm not getting many orders for 40 count linen, and certainly I don't get as many for 40 count as I do for like 32 count, although I get quite a few. But anyway, you know, and it's like a financial thing, right? So let's say I get one order for 40 count linen, and I need it. I might not order a whole bolt, right? I might order like 4 or 5 yards of it, so I have some in stock. I try to keep the fabrics I carry, I try to keep in stock, at least enough to, like, you know, be able to cover several orders for it. But every once in a while I'll get like inundated with something. I might get an order where somebody orders 6 fat halves of something, you know, so that wipes a chunk. There's 3 yards gone, right? It's time to order that fabric. Opalescents are really expensive, so I have yet to order a full bolt of opalescents, although I'm happy to see more people are ordering them. The opalescents make me so happy to die. They're just cheerful. And I know there's good reasons why people might choose not to stitch on them. I certainly don't always stitch on them, but they just make me happy to dye. They're so beautiful and sparkly. And I can take a fabric I've dyed 100 times, and then I dye an opalescent, and it's like a whole new thing. Somebody ordered just recently, I just dyed it. Actually, my son pressed it over the weekend. A piece of opalescent mushroom stew, and it was like a whole new fabric. I've dyed so much mushroom stew. People love that fabric, which is great. I love it too. But then I did an opalescent and was like, oh, whole new fabric. I need that one too. Anyway, so sometimes I have a full bolt. Sometimes I have 1 yard pieces. So if I order from my supplier, if I order 4 yards, they send it to me in 4 1 yard cuts. Okay. So if I'm cutting off the bolt, and typically that's just me doing that cutting, my daughter sometimes cuts along the fold. I don't use a rotary cutter. I cannot guarantee anything because I'm still very small, but I'm not going to use a rotary cutter. You can't guarantee you're getting a full cut if you're using a rotary cutter on cross-stitch fabric. My biggest concern is that if you guys have ordered an 18 by 27 inch piece, now even though that piece might shrink, right, through the dyeing process, it probably will, at least a little bit. I need to make sure it started out at least 18 by 27 inches, because then you will have the same number of holes that you need via your calculations to stitch your piece. That's my biggest concern, right? I need to make sure. And so I do tend to cut them more like 18 and an eighth or 18 and a quarter, just to like get a little bit of cushion. But if I'm cutting off a bolt, that's what I do. I cut, you know, just over 18 inches wide, and then I cut at the folds to words to make it a fat quarter instead of a straight half. But when I'm cutting, I am wearing my reading glasses and I am cutting between two threads of the fabric. That is what I'm doing. I measure on the selvage. I cut, you know, just through the selvage at that like 18 and a bit point, and then I follow the threads up. This takes time. It takes a lot of time. But I don't feel comfortable using a rotary cutter, because then if there's any sort of like, you're just more likely to get a jagged edge and like not really get your 18 inches worth of threads, if that makes sense. So, and then the fold line tells me where to cut for the 1/2 inch, but same thing, I start cutting there and then I follow between two threads. I'm not perfect. Sorry, I just clapped. I apologize. I didn't mean to make a clapping noise for those of you wearing earbuds. So again, I'm following between two threads visually. I'm not perfect, so occasionally I get off by a thread or two and then I get back on course. That shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't affect your piece or your math or whatever, right? Like 1 or 2 threads should be fine. I'm okay. I'm comfortable with 1 or 2 threads. For the record, my oldest son, when I was training him how to cut, he got off by like 2 inches. It was pretty bad. So he was reassigned, and he's a perfect ironer, so we're good. Or presser. He's pressing, not ironing. We had that lesson too. Okay, anyway. So if I have cut your fabric off of a bolt, that's how I've cut it. You should have literally like straight 18 inches and a bit by 27 inches. And it's been cut between two threads the whole length, right? With a like 1 or 2 thread error margin, right, as I go along. If you get a piece of fabric from me that has, you can tell one edge is like wonky, it's because I've cut it from a 1-yard piece. So this is what happens. When the 1-yard pieces are sent to me, they were not cut the way I cut. I'm assuming they were cut either with a fabric cutter. So there are machines that will cut off of a bolt. Some quilt shops have them. It's what like Fat Quarter Shop and like Moda and all them, right? They have fabric cutting machines that will cut the fabric down so they can bundle them up into like fat half bundles, fat quarter bundles, whatnot. I'm talking quilting fabric here. So my wholesaler, they might be using a fabric cutting machine. They might be using a person with a rotary cutter. I don't know. But when I get a 1-yard piece, there's always like a full usable yard there. At least everyone I've checked, and I've checked a lot of them. I was very like careful, especially initially when I opened, of like measuring everything. I just really don't want to send something out that's wrong. So there's usually overage. It's usually more than a yard, sometimes by like an inch, but often at least one of those sides is pretty off. Like it's pretty kind of jagged. So if I have cut up a 1-yard piece, I do not take the time to square up that edge, if that makes sense. I cut it in half one way and half the other way. And that's the cutting my daughter, I trust my daughter with the most, because it's so easy to like cut it in half one way and then half the other way. And she's very good at following between 2 threads. My biggest problem with her is that when she does get off by like 1 or 2 threads, She's a perfectionist and she's very hard on herself, and she can have like an emotional breakdown if she feels like she's not doing a good enough job. It's okay. For the most part, she's having the time of her life, and we'll get there. Anyway, so so I kind of wanted to explain that, because some of my fabrics will look like they have like a kind of a poorly cut edge. You still have 18 by 27 inches or 27 by 36, whatever it is you ordered. That's really just going to mean that I cut it off from a 1 yard piece as opposed to off the bolts. Although even with the bolt, the first piece off the bolt is going to have potentially the same kind of edge. Also, sometimes you will get much more than you ordered. I was cutting up actually a 40 count bolt the other day, and I got to the end and I had 20 inches left on the bolt, like widthwise. And I was like, I'm not going to cut off the 2 inches. Why would I cut off the 2 inches? Right? Like, that's just more work than me, and nobody's to stitch anything on the 2 inches. Like, what if... So somebody is going to get a piece that's 20 by 27. Or 2 people will. That'll be, you know, just luck of the draw. So if you ever open a piece and you're like, well, this is bigger than I ordered, right? You just won a little mini unimportant lottery is all. It didn't seem worth my time to trim off the last inch or two. Let's go back to the me not being perfect thing. I am not the best at customer service. I'm not the best at like checking my messages, to be honest with you. That's one of the things I'm working on. I'm basically always scared somebody's going to be mean to me. So I have a hard time checking my messages. And I'm so busy, I don't even think about it until like it's late in the day, and then I'm like, I'm ready for bed. I can't like get embroiled in something else right now. But I know I need to improve on that, and so I am working on that. But also, I just wanted to say, if you ever get something from me and you're not happy, please just let me know. I make mistakes. I live in terror of sending somebody the wrong fabric, the wrong cut, the wrong color, the wrong size, the wrong something. Like, please just let me know, okay? And I'll fix it. I'm happy to fix problems. I've been on the receiving end as a buyer so many times. And I've worked with, I've ordered things from great companies and not great companies. Not just in the cross-stitch world, but like in the knitting world. There's a knit and needle company that comes to mind whose product I love, but their customer service is horrible. Anyway, so I'm trying to create the company that I would want to shop from, if that makes sense. And for me as a consumer, I'm typically very capable of giving a company kind of the benefit of the doubt if they're willing to make things right. And I tend to be very understanding that like everybody makes mistakes. So I'm hoping that people can kind of, for the most part, give me the same benefit of the doubt. And understand that this is a learning process for me. So let's talk about my subscription service for a minute. So my Fabric of the Month Club has definitely proved to be enormously popular. Until, that sounded braggy. I didn't mean that to kind of come out that way. But it's popular by my standards. I use a company to manage the subscriptions. I'm not running, and this goes for all the orders. Like I don't have anyone's credit card information or like anything like that. But also I'm not allowed, I can't like go in and change your subscription for you. So up until about a week ago, I couldn't even cancel your subscription for you. I just upped my subscription to my subscription app so that I can go in and make some of those changes for you. The system wouldn't let me before. It's basically like, you guys put in the order for the subscription, you guys have to cancel it. Like, I can't do anything. I can do a little bit more of that now. So if you have a question or you want something done, feel free to message me. I have to say I'm much better at getting my messages on Instagram through Fiber Arts Amy than probably anywhere else. So feel free to DM me if you feel like I haven't gotten back to you in time. So but keep in mind, if you message me, please just, I guess, give me a little bit of grace. Understand that if you ask me to do something, it might be the first time anybody's asked me to do that thing. And so it might take me time to figure out. So like, for example, last week, somebody wanted to cancel their subscription and wanted me to cancel it on my end, as opposed to them doing it themselves on their end. It took me most of a day to figure out what I needed to do to be able to cancel a person's subscription for them. So if you ask me to do something, it might seem like a simple task, but on my end, it might be a very time-consuming task. If it's the first time I've done that thing, I might need to figure out how to do it, or if I even can do it. So that's a thing. All right, so I talked about cutting. Again, if you see like an uneven edge on something, you shouldn't worry, because you should, like, that's in excess of your cut of whatever. Fabric does shrink, so if it starts out 18 by 27, it might end up, I don't know, I haven't measured, but you know, just like with every hand-dyed fabric company, might end up a little bit smaller than that because of the washing process. But you will have the correct number of holes to complete the project because it started out the right size, okay? And the number of holes doesn't change when it shrinks. So let's talk about shrinkage a little bit. I try to do everything I can on my end to minimize shrinkage. That is something that's important to me as a consumer, and I think is part of quality. So I am going to minimize that as much as I can. So I do use cold water dyes. Some dyes require hot water. Hot water is going to shrink your stuff more than cold water typically. I use cold water dyes in my dyeing process for cross-stitch fabric. When I'm dyeing fibers, which you guys will see eventually, you know, like wool and silk and whatnot, that is a hot water process. But for linen, cotton, and the Luganas, which is partly cotton, I'm using a cold water dye. So that never gets heated up at all. And that can help minimize the shrinkage. Also helps minimize my energy usage. So some of the fabrics get dyed literally like one piece at a time by hand by me, which is a very time-consuming process. If I have a large order, I will put it in the washing machine to help with the rinsing process, because the rinsing process can be enormously time-consuming. I do rinse the fabrics to the best of my ability here in my house. I've talked about this before, so even if a fabric isn't, my fabrics are all rinsed to the point where I'd be comfortable stitching on them and washing them when I was done with my water. I still suggest that if you are going to wash your piece when you're done with it, or you want that option, that you should wash any hand-dyed fabric. And I do this too. You should wash any hand-dyed fabric that you get from any company before you stitch on it, if you want to be able to wash it when it's done and know that the fabric's not going to bleed. Different waters, different water temperatures can affect bleeding a lot. Fabric can run clear in one household and in a different household, and especially like in a different state or a different part of the country, you know, still bleed like crazy. So it's important that you still be cautious with hand-dyed fabric. But I rinse them very thoroughly here in my house. If I have a large batch, I will do that in my washing machine on the hand wash cycle with like a high water rinse and an extra rinse. And I you know, keep an eye on the My washing machine drains into a stationary tub, not like some of them are plumbed in, right? So you don't see I see the water coming out of the washing machine, so I can see, if we still have dye bleeding issues. Anyway, I was trying very hard not to put any fabric in the dryer. And still, as much as I can, I'm not going to be putting fabric in the dryer. I am much more of a let it dry outside on the line kind of person. There are times I have finally bitten the bullet and decided there are times when I'm going to have to put the fabric in the dryer. Otherwise, no one's going to get their fabric. I just don't have the space, the facilities, the time to be hanging every piece of fabric to dry. So I'm going to say the reason why I mentioned large batches, I only do this when I only use the washer and the dryer when I'm dealing with all the same color fabric. I don't want to risk one color bleeding onto another, especially when you put it in the washer. It hasn't been rinsed. I've rinsed it a little bit before I put it in the washing machine, but it hasn't been rinsed yet enough, right? Like, I don't want colors bleeding on each other. So, but if I've dyed 30 pieces of the same color, I will put it in the washing machine. So you will also note, well, you may not notice, I noticed, there is a different hand, meaning the way the fabric feels, if it's been in the dryer or not. Not really the washer or not. If it line dries, the fabric stays a bit stiffer. If it goes in the dryer, it just softens up beautifully. Now, some of you have preferences, and I've heard people complain either way. I have heard people complain that their fabric is too soft and floppy and they like it to be stiffer. I've heard people complain that their fabric is too stiff and they'd rather it be nice and soft and floppy. If you have a particular stitching style that really where one of those or the other really works better for you, you can always feel free to reach out to me and put a request in that, like, hey, if it's possible, can you, I like it if it stays a little bit stiffer. I'm not always going to be able to accommodate those requests, though. I'm going to put that out there right away, right? If I have one piece of fabric I have dyed in, one colorway, like let's say Fairy Lights. Fairy Lights is a super dark black dye with like blotches of pretty colors in it. Look like fairy lights. I'm not going to run a washing machine cycle and a dryer cycle for one piece of fabric. I'm not going to do it. The energy suck on that is crazy. I'm not going to do it. But let's say you order Fairy Lights and I happen to have gotten 8 other orders for Fairy Lights that week too. Well, then I might do it because I've got a bunch of it and I can do it together. And, so I won't always be able to accommodate those requests, but if you have a request, you can let me know. And if it's reasonable for my time and energy, I can do that. The other thing you can do is, if you really like that stiffer hand, re-wet the fabric and then line dry it, and you'll get a stiffer hand back again. So that's a solution to that if you don't like it. That's something you use with anybody's fabric. What else? Okay, so we covered washing and drying. Time. So right now I'm saying 4 to 8 weeks for an order. Sometimes it's closer to 4. Sometimes, on there I say 4 to 8 weeks or longer. I think the longest it's taken me to get a fabric out is about 2 months. But I'm kind of increasing orders all the time. I'm increasing subscriptions for Fabrics of the Month. So that could grow, quite honestly. I'm going to be very busy this summer dyeing a ton of fabric for the Queen City Stitch Retreat in October. I am going to be bringing as much as I can dye over the summer. I'm just going to throw this out there too. I am not a vendor at Stitch North, but I am going to the April 26th, 7th, 5th, 6th, 7th weekend. And I'll have a bunch of my fabric with me because I always do. So if you want to see any of it, feel free to, and you're going to be there, feel free to come visit me at my table, and I can show you what I have. Anyway, what else? Packaging. Okay. My packaging for some people is controversial. And this is also going to circle back to the me not being perfect thing. I cannot believe I've been talking for 50 minutes. I hope you guys are getting lots of stitching done. So I am a total tree hugger, and I mean that in the best possible way. I am an environmentalist. I went to school for environmental chemistry. Or my graduate, well, it's long. Anyway, I studied environmental science. I love, as well as chemistry. I love, okay, I'm not going to get on that soapbox. But, and I'm not the perfect environmentalist. Like, you know, I consume too much, you know, and I'm not here to lecture anybody on your environmental habits by any stretch of the imagination. But for my company that I'm running, there are certain decisions that I made or that I have made, and that's for environmental reasons. So, for example, if you order from me, you will see I have not put your fabric in plastic. Plastic bags drive me crazy, and I know they can be reused for things. Most people don't. Most people throw them in the trash. I care about minimizing my use of single-use plastics. At some point, I also really want to look into better packaging for my shipping bubble mailer things that I've been using. I'm not there yet, but I did make the decision I'm just not putting this fabric in plastic. I can't do it. That's too much plastic that I'm contributing to the world. I can't do it. If you ever get a package for me that has been ruined because it got soaking wet and the fabric inside got soaking wet and it bled and dyed, the dye got everywhere, whatever, and you're not happy because the fabric wasn't in plastic, let me know and I will replace your fabric. I decided I would rather have to occasionally deal with replacing an order. And I realize it's an inconvenience and all that. But again, for me, for my company, decision I've made is that I would rather run that risk and maybe have to occasionally eat the cost of some damaged fabric than, although water shouldn't really damage it. But anyway, than be adding that much plastic to the world. So that's why I do the packaging the way that I do. That's why you don't see the plastic. It's not because I'm lazy or not a real company or whatever. It's because I like when I get a package that's in plastic, it drives me crazy. I hate it. I hate it so much. And almost everybody puts their stuff in plastic, right? I order from quilt shops frequently, cross-stitch shops, whatever, and there's just so much plastic. And I understand the reasoning for it, but I'm not going to do it. So I wanted to explain that. What else? I wish I had my list. I think I've probably hit most of the highlights. Fabrics of the month, I do release onto the website after the fabric of the month people have gotten theirs. But and I'm not gonna promise any specific schedule on which I'm gonna do that, but it'll be several months, right? Like maybe in the 4 to 8 month kind of time frame, somewhere in there. They'll get released for everybody else to buy, but I want the fabric of the month people to have access to them first, and for a while afterwards. What else? Today I'm taking the day off. So the thing about working from home, this is still a learning process for me. There's always more I could be doing. And sometimes I need to remind myself to stop. And to stop doing for a little while. And today is my stop doing day. I have been working my butt off recently. And which is, I mean, I'm getting so much done. I've got a stack of maybe 50 orders on my desk that are all ready to ship. I just need to actually do that. I'm going to be dyeing the rest of April's fabric of the month later today. The fabric's down there soaking right now in its solution that it needs before being dyed. So those will be able to be shipped next week before I go to, or even this weekend, before I go to Stitch North. Things are going well. Things are fun. This is a fun job. I know I'm forgetting some of my like FAQs. Oh, people sometimes ask about different counts and whatnot, and I may add more to the website later. But if there's something really specific you're looking for, just message me and ask. Somebody asked about 25 count Lugana the other day. I don't have that listed on the website, but I can also get some. Like, I can always add it. If you want 46 count linen or 56 count linen or whatever, just message me. I can get it. It's not a problem. There may not be enough demand that I want to sit down right now and go through the trouble of adding it to every listing for every color on the website, but I'm still happy to do it, and I can just invoice you. Is that it? Is that all of the questions answered? Might be. There's some exciting things coming. There's some really exciting things coming that I'm really happy about. I've been dyeing my heart out the last few days with some embroidery thread, which I'm so happy about. That's going to take a little time before I can actually get it skeined up and on the website, but I can't wait. I can't wait to use it myself. I've got a whole bunch of projects planned with it. Because you know me, I can't just like do one thing. I've got to do like, you know, dozens. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff planned for it. I've got a lot like in my head, a lot I'm really excited about. I've got some products that I'm going to be selling at Queen City Stitch Retreat. And if that goes well, I'll add those to my website as well. I also have some Kohana products to sell at the retreat that actually I'd also like to put on my website. I just need the time to do that. Because I love Kohana products. My recent favorite are their little mini snips. So if you're looking for anything like that, you can also always let me know. And because I'm a big fan of all their stuff. It's just so fun. Yeah, is that it? That might be it. I'm excited, guys. I appreciate every one of you so much. It still blows my mind that people are buying fabric from me. Or even if you're not, even if you just like watch some of my videos, this is amazing. You know, it's been incredible since I started Flosstube. I want to say that was the summer of, might have even been the summer of 2021. Maybe 2022? That doesn't seem right. It had to have been the summer of 2021. Wait, when did COVID start? Oh my God, time has lost all meaning. It might have even been the summer of 2020. COVID started. Oh my God, how can I not remember? Whatever year COVID started. I either started Flosstube that summer or the following summer. It's 2020, right? Maybe. Sorry, guys. But starting Flosstube and becoming part of, I mean, I was already part of the stitching community, but like becoming interactive in the stitching community has been amazing. But my experience in starting Oak Crown Studios has been such a fulfilling experience. It has lifted me up so much. It has brought me so much joy and fulfillment and excitement. I can't believe at this point now I feel like I can say, like, I work as an artist. That's insane. Can't believe that. That's incredible. I get a kick out of it, obviously. I think it's wonderful. I love, it's so joyful to just work with color, and I'm just enjoying it so, so much. And I am so grateful to all of you for helping make that possible for me, because it really has brought a lot to my life, and therefore also to the lives of my family members. Yeah. So I'm probably going to end this here. Feel free to ask questions. Ask questions in the comments below. Message me questions. Let me know what you think. Put in requests. I actually have a backlog of requests for fabrics people want that I need to figure out, but you keep them coming. Keep them coming. I keep a list on my phone so I won't lose it. I should have put my FAQ list on my phone, and then I wouldn't have lost it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for all of you to have been on this journey with me, and I'm excited to see where it's going to take me here in coming months and years. And yeah, it's been fun. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hopefully you got some good stitching time in. Hopefully I didn't bore you to tears. And anyway, hopefully I'll see you again soon, maybe with some more stitching and eye candy to show off. Bye guys.